Welcome back to the Authentic Creative, expanding our capacity to feel good. I'm really excited because this topic and this woman is amazing, are amazing. Sherianna, I'm going to read about your bio and about what you're up to. So, Sherianna Boyle is an emotional detox coach. I don't know about you guys, but I haven't heard those words put together before. I think that's absolutely miraculous and so vitally important. Author and speaker whose work is revolutionizing how we process and experience emotions. This is so cool. She is the creator of the Emotional Detox Method, a groundbreaking approach that helps individuals clear emotional clutter and build emotional resilience. Sherianna is the author of 10 books. Is that right?
It's actually, well, just as it's my 11th.
Okay, this will be the 11th,
Hmm.
including, because I paused there, including her most recent Energy in Action, The Power of Emotions and Intuition to Cultivate Peace and Freedom. Okay, I just have to pause there because that's a lot of books. And I just have to highlight that. Wow. Okay, I want to talk to you about that. So, her book, Emotional Detox, has been endorsed by the New York Times, and her teachings have touched thousands around the world. As a seasoned educator, Sheriana offers a blend of mindfulness, emotional awareness, and energetic practices to help people break free from limiting patterns and connect to their inner peace. Through her coaching courses and powerful teachings, Sheriana is on a mission to empower others to release emotional blockages and thrive in every area of life. So, first of all, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your presence, your time, your heart. Thank you for the work you're doing in the world. As I said, it's so vitally important. Like I truly believe this is some of the most important work we can do is really understanding, processing, allowing, honoring, knowing how to work with our emotions. That's so much of what I like to do with my clients is bring safe space for them to be able to process emotions. And I would just love to know where you grew up. I want to know who you are. How did you become you?
I grew up in a couple places in Massachusetts and then right over into the border of into New York State.
Okay, so
And
where in
yeah,
Massachusetts?
did I grow up or do I live now?
Oh, you live there now. Well, so I was
Yes.
I was born in Massachusetts and I went to college in Worcester. So I was born outside Boston. So that's why I'm curious.
Yeah. Well, I currently reside on Cape Cod. Cape Cod.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
You're funny.
Oh my goodness. I grew up going to Wellfleet every summer.
Yeah.
So where in
Yeah.
Cape
It's
Cod? Where in Cape Cod?
so I'm midway there, like near Hyannis kind of
Okay.
area. Yeah. Barnstable. Yeah. Area.
Oh,
Yeah.
my heart is in Cape Cod. My husband's like, when am I gonna get to go to this Cape Cod that you're
Well, that's
always
how I ended up here. My husband came here with family trips, had fond memories, and I had never been to Cape Cod actually. And I got a job
Wow.
here. I got a job as a school psychologist. I was fresh out of graduate school, and I was a school psych looking for a job, and I got a job on the Cape, and I was like, Cape Cod, like there's nothing there. My husband's like, go, just take it. And I thought, okay, I'll do it for a year. And
Did
then
you
here
ever
I
go to the Wellfleet Harbor Actors Theater?
I believe so. Yeah, it's been a while, but definitely
Well,
yes.
I'm gonna say what your husband said. Go.
Go. Okay. Okay. I know it's funny how you
Really
live
good
in a
theater.
place and people tell you where to go where you actually live.
If it's as good
Yeah.
as it used to be, it was excellent, excellent theater. Okay,
Okay.
so that's where you are.
Yep.
I want to come visit you.
Of course. You're welcome anytime. So yeah, I've been here since 1995.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I've
So
raised
for a minute.
for a while, raised three daughters. I got three that are, raised and born and raised here.
Amazing. So
Yeah.
how old are your daughters now?
So the youngest is almost 17 and
Okay.
then 22 and 24.
Okay, you started young because you look young.
Well, I don't know. I mean, back then it wasn't maybe, no, I mean 30s, early
Okay.
30s.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, you
I
just look
started.
very, you just have a youthful
Oh,
from the
well, it's all this emotional detoxing.
yeah. Guys, if you do this emotional detox work, this spiritual emotional detox work, you're gonna look as young as Sherianna
I
with
do it
after
every day. I
had
do. I,
kids.
I mean, you need to emotional detox, don't you? I mean, there's so much going on all the time,
Yeah. Yeah.
for sure.
So, okay. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
So, what inspired the creation of the emotional detox method? What does an emotional detox truly mean?
Yeah. So I ask the same question, and that's whenever I write anything, it's usually out of the space of I'm curious about figuring out that myself. And I looked around to see what was out there, and nothing really felt solid to me. It felt more along the lines of the physical detox, maybe loosely around the emotional, but mainly like detox from chemicals in your food and things like that.
Hmm.
And so the emotional detox that I'm referring to is instead of getting rid of chemicals in your food and pesticides and all that, what we're not, well, first of all, let's be clear, we're not getting rid of our emotions. So that is not happening. And that is not what an emotional detox is about. It's actually about getting to them. So, what are we getting? What are we releasing, removing reactions? And the only way you can remove a reaction is you have to become aware of it and you have to get to know it. And they're layered, as you know, you're coaching and helping people as well. So emotional detox is built on a mindset. It first had to create the foundation for it is the mindset. And the mindset is built on that all emotions are good, all emotions, even the shame, the guilt, the fear, all of them, so long as they're processed.
Mm.
So I'll say that again. That's the foundation. All emotions are good. There's no good, bad, better, worse emotion, so long as they're processed. And again, you're not looking to get rid of your emotions. You're getting to them. And later, as I would be teaching emotional detox and going through it, it was actually emotional detox for anxiety. So I wrote that book after emotional detox. That because everything I thought about anxiety changed. So I thought I could write a whole new book just on the anxiety. So I ended up doing that. And that's when I came up with another pillar for the foundation, which is people always look at me a little cross eyed when I say this, but I really believe that the only emotion is love. Everything else is a reaction.
Hmm.
And so that became part of the foundation. There's only one emotion, love. Everything else is a reaction.
I've
And
heard, may I interrupt you for one
yeah,
second? I've heard this expression of it's either expressions of love or calls for love, right? And isn't that from the Course in Miracles, I think?
perhaps I don't know that.
Okay, so point being, I totally get what you're saying. And yes, I mean, the purest essence of who we are, I believe, is this love. So we're either in that way of looking at it is we're either trying to get love or we're giving it
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
agreement with you. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was really that came from after a lot of emotional processing. I didn't hit the ground running with that mindset. So it sort of evolved into that book by book with the series. And then of course people want to know, okay, I get the mindset, but then how do you do it? And that's when cleanse. So I would sit with spirit as I talk about and just ask spirit. And that's how I write all my books. I connect and I ask, okay, what's it going to be? Because when I wrote not just as spirit, when I wrote Emotional Detox,
Hmm.
I was, I knew I was going to write the book. I had gotten picked up for the book. I was doing the research for the book. But then about 5 weeks in, I got hit with some real tough stuff, tough life stuff, unexpected. And then I was like, I can't write this book. Like I'm a mess. How can I write this book?
Hmm.
And that's when the publisher said, it was the best thing that ever happened. They said, they took the timelines off and they said, you're going to write the book, do it at your own pace.
Yeah.
And which was really wonderful because I will tell you, some people would have stole that title. And my publisher, Adams Media, did not, because they know you got something hot. They can hand it over to someone else, because I was like, I'm not capable. They were like, you're going to do this. So that was
And you
wonderful.
had written how many books already at that
That
point?
was my seventh.
Uh-huh. So
By
they
then,
knew. They
they
knew.
knew they knew I had it in me, but
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think I can do this, right? Who am I? So I sat with spirit, back to, that, and I I was going through so much emotional stress and trauma. I
Mhm.
realized something. Well, one of the things I realized is you can't remember anything when you're in trauma. You
Mm.
you go to the store and you park your car and you're like, I don't even remember driving to the
You're
store.
not in your body.
You're numb. You're
Yeah.
in shock or numb. And then you go in the store and you're like, what am I supposed to get again?
Mm.
And you're just like, you feel like you're bumping into walls.
Yeah.
And
I
it
think
is,
we all know that feeling.
yeah. Yeah. I couldn't really articulate it. And so it was kind of nice to write. So I was sort of dabbling in writing the book because here I am in it. And so I asked Spirit, I said, okay, I can't remember anything. How am I going to help people remember how to process
Mm.
their emotions? Like,
Yeah,
tell
it's like
me.
we teach what we need. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
then that's when I heard the word cleanse.
Wow.
And that became the acronym CLEANSE
Oh,
for
got
the
it.
for the 7 steps of an emotional detox.
Got it.
I didn't want a detox language in there. But anyway, so cleanse has been the foundation, which is those 7 steps for the last 5 books. My
Wow.
the cleanse system is the same system, but you can apply it to whatever you're focusing on. So I have cleanse and energy in action. We're applying it to manifesting and the rays of light because my guides told me manifesting happens with light. A lot of people talk other ways about it, but that's what they channeled to me. And
So
yeah,
will you walk us through the cleanse an acronym?
okay, depends what book you're looking at. Okay, but the 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 emotional detox, the cleanse, the only time I've shifted it is for just ask spirit. But the cleanse is C, clear reactivity, which is all about getting in your body. I'm sure you're very familiar, toning the vagus nerve, calming your nervous system, all different tools and techniques for that. So clearing reactivity. Second
Hmm.
step is look inward. And that's where that is about learning to connect to your emotions, which you'll appreciate this, and then respond with your breath.
Mm.
And that was spirit led as well. So all of this was guided and they all have like their own little story. Every step has like a little story with it.
Love
And then
it.
and then E is emit, and that is sound because I had written Mantras Made Easy, I think it was the year before. So
Okay.
I knew I had mantras down. I knew the science. I really believe I wrote that book just to put it in the cleanse so I could understand. So E is emit, which is going to be a mantra. And then A is
So
active.
wait, what's the sound that you're emitting? What's the mantra? Is it different for everyone? Is it the same for everyone?
Well, in emotional detox, I encourage people to work with HUM.
Hmm.
The
Like a
hum
stimming. Uh-huh.
like a hum or a hum. I mean, there's so many different variations of the hum, but the hum has a lot of research behind it. It increases
This is the
nitric
vagus nerve.
oxide, it helps the vagus nerve, it improves circulation. I mean, it's just an overall feel good. And the other thing is, if the hum is like, and it's not just what the steps are, it's the order of the steps, it's the
Okay.
place. So it's clearing reactivity, toning your vagus nerve, look inward, honoring and addressing the emotions, and then incorporating breath. Now you're in emit, which is going to be the hum, is also the mantra of enlightenment. So we're transforming what we're releasing, whatever reactions that we've
You know,
recognized.
you know what's so interesting, Sherianna, is
Yeah.
we tell our kids when they do this to stop. A lot of us parents, we go, "Oh, can you quiet? Can you not do that? Can you not make that
Oh,
sound?"
you and they hum and make noise.
Yeah.
Mm,
And it gets invalidated, and then as adults, we don't do it. But when you remember it's medicine,
yeah.
how how brilliant is that? And so it's like, no, actually, please do your humming, right?
Yeah. It is medicine. It's I mean, there's studies that it can shatter cancer cells.
Wow.
It's so powerful. And so, yeah, I knew it would be in there. I didn't know when. So E is emit, and then A is activate. So this is the point where you start to turn the corner. So you're taking the emotion and you're directing yourself, activate where are you heading now. So that can be done through visualization. That can be done. You're starting to experience the the opposite of what you were feeling. So if you
Hmm.
were in fear, now you're heading in a new direction. So think of activate as I'm where am I heading kind of thing. And in the just a
You've like
spirit,
vibrated yourself to a higher vibratory
exactly.
level at that
And
point.
it's holding structure because what I learned, I'll finish the others. What I learned with the trauma response is people need some structure. They can't just throw random tools, which you create that space, and they need consistency. It can't be a guinea pig where we're just try this. Have you tried that? A
Hmm.
lot of people do that. Have you tried this? Maybe you should do this. My friend really liked that. You know what I mean? It's like
Hmm.
someone in trauma that's not really the best thing for them. They
It's
need
like consistent through line.
well, the cleanse is consistent. We always start at the C, we end at the E, no matter what. And I have clients that are not in trauma anymore that still want to do it because they love it's a structure. So now A is activate, then we're in N, which is nourish. And again, the steps are
Can we back up? So how do you do the activate step?
so you can do it through visualization. You can do it. There's also you can do it through observation. Activate. I would say that I'm thinking of energy and action book. Notice and observe.
Hmm.
So notice and observe activates sensations
Hmm.
and also visualization that can also help with that noticing and observing. And then the N, which is nourish, is allow and receive. So we go from activate, notice and observe, opening up, paying attention more, and allow and receive. And then we fall into the S, which is surrender. So now surrender, we create what I call stem sentences, which is just I allow. What are you allowing? So if I started here in fear, so let's say I started the cleanse in fear at C, clearing reactivity, addressing, looking inward, and I always say start with how I feel in my body right now is add breath. Don't answer the question. That's the spirit guidance that I received. Don't answer the question. Let the breath answer the question. Otherwise, you're just dialoguing with the brain, going into past, right? And so then we're in the E. So it's how I feel in my body right now is that's the look inward, L, and then when I'm in fear or having and going through this experience makes me feel again you're answering with your breath and then you're emitting so hum you get the vibration, you get the flow of the energy, hum, and then you're in the A, activate. So now I don't want to push a visualization. I want it to come through me,
Mm.
right? So I might see colors or I might, and this is where emotions and intuition start to cross. And we know this from looking at the anatomy. So I might see an image. And sometimes you need a little guidance around that image, but I always like people to just see what happens on your own. Let it come up. And then nourish. Nourish is allow and receive that. So let's say I just saw some color purple, or I just had a flash of something in my mind. Can you allow yourself to receive that? And that would be sitting with something. A lot of times we pop out too quick, pop out of things,
Mm.
right? We need to, it's like a download.
Mm-hmm.
Nourish. I'm taking it in. And then surrender. Once you take it in, then surrender becomes I allow. So I allow wisdom. And it's again, it's coming through you. I allow healing. I allow truth. I allow authenticity. I allow transformation and change. Like you just let it sort of flow out of you. And then E is the ease. And that's when your I allows transform to the I am, which is, we know, two of the most powerful words you can ever say are the I am. I think it's written in the Bible like 978 times. So
Mm-hmm.
I am, but the difference is I'm not starting with an affirmation, because if I do that without going through the previous steps, I might just be lip service. I
Yeah.
have to embody it. So
Mm-hmm.
the I am is embodying. I can feel it. I can see it. I can sense it. I notice it. I am it. And you start to, it becomes in the cells. So that's the cleanse in a nutshell.
That's brilliant. I'm so curious how you came up with cleanse. I'm so curious about the actual time that it takes for someone to go through those steps. And then do you lead people through it and then eventually they lead themselves through it? How does it work? So starting with my first question of how did you come up with this?
So I was spirit. I asked, so I was I was actually in therapy. I'll just say it. I was in therapy.
Great. Love it.
And because I remember I was going through a crisis.
Yeah.
So I was in therapy, and the therapist got distracted. She had a beeper. She had
Okay.
a health condition where she had to wear a beeper to check like her levels and things like that.
Okay.
So she got a little beep and said, just excuse me for a moment. She, as she left,
She needed cleanse.
yeah. And as she left, I was just sitting there quietly. And that's when I started to, I know it sounds crazy, but I started to hear a voice. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't my voice.
Mm-hmm.
um, and it just kind of started nudging me.
Yeah.
And it was through questions. What if you did this? What if you did that? It was more of that kind of a voice. But the weird part was how I left. So I left the session, and never in a million years, I think it had been about 6 months at that point. And I said to myself, that's my last session.
Mm.
Now, which is very odd. Normally you have a conversation about that, right? You tell there, you have like a little closing. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, that's it. It's my last session.
Mm-hmm.
And I left, and I knew, and I went home and I sat and I said, okay, spirit, okay, tell me what that is, what you just said. And I would write every day. Okay, what's the next step? What's the next step? And sometimes I'd get a little like, I don't get it. I'm not getting it.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to give me more information.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, little synchronicities, like spirit started happening. And I was on a call with someone, and it was someone I'm not even close to. And I was like, I'm really stuck on step 3. Like, I know what it's supposed to be, but I don't know a letter that would. And that's when it all came together. He just said something that triggered it.
Mm-hmm.
It was like I was getting in my own way, but
Mm-hmm.
eventually it all came through. Then I started trying it on clients
Okay.
before I put it in the book. I was like,
Yeah.
I got to practice. And then they started loving it, and
Okay.
I started loving it.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you, I did energy healing for years before I wrote this book. And
Mm-hmm.
I would have to go home and take a nap.
Mm.
And I was like, there's something to this emotional detox stuff, because I'm holding my energy more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting run down like I was getting overdoing it.
So then the next question here is what is the length of time? How do we go through this? Is it over the course of 5 minutes? Is it an hour? What's the process? Or does it depend?
When I was going through what I was going through, emotional detox was always intended to be about a 10 to 20-minute practice.
Okay.
That has always been behind it. Now that it's in Just Us Spirit. So it's over in Just Us Spirit. But now the steps are about connecting to your spirit guides and receiving guidance and answers. So that that's activate is now ask
Hmm.
in Just As Spirit Cleanse. So
Hmm.
same acronym, same system, same idea, but I just tiny tweaks. That's where you're going to ask spirit. In terms of the cleanse and Just Ask Spirit, I tend to do it a little bit longer because I'm channeling.
Hmm.
But I've always been channeling because that's how I wrote the books. But
Hmm.
now I'm teaching it, so I'm practicing what I'm teaching, kind of thing. So it takes me actually maybe it is about 20 minutes, even with, but it may be 30 because sometimes I'm writing down
I think
answers.
that's so incredible and practical and applicable. Like, we need practices that are for daily life, not for going on the mountaintop for a month. We need practices that we can incorporate. And this sounds like it's so easy to incorporate.
Definitely. Definitely. And yeah, I mean, I know I can't go to a mountaintop. I mean, I would love to, Siri. I mean, I have dreams of it. It's just not reality for here, you know,
Yeah. So
in terms of
for our everyday life, when we feel that we're having a reaction, as you call it, other people call it a trigger, right? Like, can we in the moment apply the cleanse steps right in the moment if when we're having that reaction? Or do we have to walk away, take 20 minutes in the bathroom? Like, how does that apply?
it's I designed it to be a daily practice
Yeah.
because I it's really not meant to be an in the moment kind of practice. I think that's where other tools are going to come in handy. People have learned any mindful tools or quick tips and tools that people use, like tapping or deep breathing or walking away or just getting grounded, going outside. I think those are great for those kind of moments. I wouldn't break out into a practice. I just don't think people are going to do that.
Hmm.
It's not realistic, especially. So I in emotional detox, I talk about three levels of reactivity. There's low, medium, and high. So it depends where you're at. Low levels, well, let's talk high levels of reactivity. Those are when you're so reactive that you don't even remember your tools. So
Hmm.
that's where I was.
Hmm.
I had them, plenty of them. I've written
Sure.
7 books at that point, 6 books at that point. But I was in such high levels of reactivity, not just my mind, but my body, that it was like I couldn't even think.
Yeah, you're in fight or flight and you're in the
I'm in
reptilian brain and you're not
exactly.
online. Yeah, you're not
That's
online.
high
Yeah, yeah,
levels,
yeah,
right? And I'm just getting through the day. And then medium levels are I'm I'm aware I'm in reactivity.
yeah. Hmm.
I know I have tools.
Hmm.
I know what they are, but I'm choosing not to use them,
Sure.
right? And then low levels of reactivity, a lot of people are between medium and low, is when I know I have tools, I'm having a reaction, whatever that is, and I'm using my tools.
Yeah, and you're using them, you said, though, not necessarily in the moment, but you're using them as preparation prior to that possibility, and or are you using them in retrospect to process out what's happened from your day, or is it both?
Well, I mean, I encourage people to cleanse every single day, move yourself through a cleanse because you're building a memory.
Hmm.
And you want to get to a point where it's like riding a bike. I can just brush the steps and my body knows. I don't
Right?
have to be on point. I don't even have to flesh the whole thing out. I've
Mm.
done it enough times where just intention of it now.
Got
Just
it.
like the intention of lighting a candle before you have dinner. You've done that enough times where you get right there. So I recommend at least 10 to 15 minutes. Now, that's where Emotional Detox Now comes in. That book was because of the question that you just asked. Everyone's like, how do I do this on my own? I love doing it with you, but I want to do it on my own. So
Hmm.
I wrote 135 cleanses, that book. And they're
Wow.
so that book, Emotional
Is it
Detox,
on audio or just the book?
yes, it is. I'm trying to think. Did I narrate that one? I don't know. I don't think so. No, thank God. It would have been a lot of
You're like, I
cleanses.
got so many
That
books.
that
I
would have
can't
been
remember.
too many
I
cleanses
love it.
in a row. So anyway, it's Emotional Detox Now. It's a nice little hardcover book, which I like because it's got cleanses for relationship stuff, cleanses for home, cleanses for parenting. Like I broke it into categories. So here's cleanses for teenagers and things like that. So I wrote
Hmm.
them all out, showed them how it works so they can literally just pick up the book. If they do that version, it's going to just take definitely 10 minutes.
Hmm. That's amazing. I love the applicability. So, is there a particular time of day that you recommend that people do their cleanse?
Morning. I,
Okay.
I, I do recommend morning.
Okay.
If someone's a night, maybe they need to sleep in or something, then certainly you could modify it. But I think the morning is great because a lot of times emotions come up in our sleep.
Yeah.
And then
We're
we
in that
begin,
lower vibration and we're more
yeah,
susceptible. Yeah.
yeah, and they come up through our dreams and spirits coming out, and it's just there's a lot of things that you want to process there before you kick off your day. So I love those early mornings, but I understand not everybody has that advantage. But that's where a book might come in handy until you do have a little bit more space.
So, what are some of the transformations for people who are working with the cleanse that you've seen? How are they applying it? What is that transformation for them?
Well, I run a weekly cleanse group. So I have
Okay.
it's open. I've been cleansing with this group for a couple of years now. Well, we have people add on come in and out all the time. It's called Divine Healing and Meditation. And we do emotional detoxing and I blend with the other books too. So again, Energy in Action has the cleanse, but that's all working with light. And that's how you manifest with light. So it's called the rays of light. So it's still clear reactivity, look inward, emit, and then the activate is light. And then I teach them about the rays of light and
I
what
love
they
it.
mean and the vibration. And then the mindset behind energy in action is manifesting was never meant for the me, it's for the we. So I
Mm.
use the cleanses from the last several books in that group. In terms of transformation, I think people just say, look, I can't believe how deep it goes. Like that group is 30 minutes. I mean, honestly, it blows my mind too. Like it's truly, well, you do breath work and I'm sure you see amazing transformation. It just cuts right to the chase, and you don't have to get into it. You don't have to talk about it and you have to revisit it. And you can a little bit, but it is, I think people just say the biggest thing I hear is, I was in years of therapy and you just in like one or two sessions, whether it's group or private, it's like, how do you know that? How do you know that? And I've gotten a knack for reading emotions. So
Hmm.
like there's a lot of mediums out there, but I'm like, I read the energy, the emotions. If I can get into how you're feeling right now, there's like a whole thing that I can tap into.
Right.
So that's what I teach in Just Us Spirit.
Beautiful. Yeah. I think because you're working with embodiment practices, that is why, that's what I've found as well. You're able to shortcut those years of therapy.
Yeah, you really
So,
are. Yeah.
so what's interesting to me is I have a breathwork facilitator that I work with, and he talks about, wanting to really see these measurable results and sort of almost like graduate you from not needing something. He's not into like what he'll call maintenance. And
Hmm.
for me, I'm not that way. I'm very much like, this is like you kind of like what you're saying in a sense of you brush your teeth every day.
Hmm.
This, to me, this is maintenance. This is the base level of what's needed in order to be our best self, live our best life, be the happiest we can be, have the capacity to be able to see someone, hear someone, be with someone without filtering it through the lens of all of my trauma, you know? And so I'm curious where you stand on that spectrum of that
Well,
conversation of,
you can see how the cleanse has evolved. So it went from really looking at our levels of reactivity, emotional detox, and that's a great place to start. And I still go back to those forms of cleanses. It depends on the client. Some people need that more of that real structured approach. But the cleanse over time, I've got to know that my clients are people are going to grow out of it and they're going to want to learn how to use it in other, and that's why energy in action was created. Okay, you've got the cleanse down. Now learn how to use it to manifest with light. Then they're all excited again. That's why they
mm,
don't go, because
mm,
they're like, oh, now we're getting into a whole nother. So it's about expansion.
yeah.
But I don't really believe in maintenance either, because if you see someone transforming, you're going to see they're ready for the next layer, and then just as spirits the next layer. So I
Yeah. So when I say maintenance, I mean like it sounds like to me that cleanse, what you have put as a through line through all of these books, is like this is the base level to just get us to where we're going to then be able to do the next thing. And so for me, it's like breath work is like this is just the base level. Like you're going to brush your teeth, you're going to do your breath work,
yeah,
right? Like that's what I mean
yes,
by that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we're living energetic beings. We need to move this energy. That's important. It is, if that the base level, yeah, absolutely. And finding what works for you. I mean, I think some people are going to be really drawn to and I incorporate breath work into the cleanse, so it's in there. But I think whatever you're really drawn to and wanting to commit to is what I think people should go with. So if you're really feeling it and benefiting, then keep going.
Yeah, when you're talking about this next level of, okay, you've got the base level of the cleanse, and then the next level you're saying is working with the light
Mm-hmm.
and manifesting. Will you share more about that aspect of your process, working with the
Well,
light?
that was again spirit channeled. So I'd written 3 books on emotional detox. I sit down to do my cleanse and I hear, now you're going to bring the light in. And I knew what spirit meant because I was trained in quantum healing years ago. So I got to the master level as a quantum healer. I walked away from it for a bit. I was in it. It was a lot. It was a really intense training and practice. And at one point, I thought, this is too much. It's too
Mm,
much. And I feel like I'm thrown in the fire a little bit in terms of a lot of different techniques and a lot of different, right. And I just said, I need to walk away and just let myself download. It's like, it's almost like overstudying.
You were oversaturated, overwhelmed. It was like, let me process this. It's
It
like,
was, I don't know if this is for me. Honestly, that's what it
uh-huh.
was. That
Okay.
I was really like, I don't know if I completely align with everything. And, but what I had learned from that teacher
Hmm.
was she introduced me to the rays of light, and not in the way that I teach it, but at least it introduced me to it in the way she taught it. So when I heard that from spirit, That's how I interpreted it, what I had learned years ago. But I was going to sort of make it into how I would work with those rays of light. So, for example, I cover 13 spiritual laws in that book, and every law, this is what spirit let me know, is associated with the light. So the law of attraction is affiliated with the yellow ray of light. And the yellow ray of light carries the vibrational frequencies of inner strength and courage. Think of it as that third chakra area, where people, when that's out of balance, it can feel insecure and all of that stuff. So confidence
You're
comes
in
there.
a yellow ray of light right now.
I know. I just look at that. Yeah. So the light is a big part. So what they do is they learn how to cleanse with the light.
Mm.
So how to work. Now, every ray of light is overseen by a spiritual master and an archangel. So that's when it starts to get them introduced, that when you're cleansing, you're connecting to these higher realms. Now you're getting an even deeper cleanse, and it's that vibration really starts to kick in. And then in Just As Spirit, I do cover the rays of light in that book too.
Did you know when you were younger, did you have an inkling that you were going to write all these books that were so spiritual and including in this kind of embodiment work? Like, did you have any inkling?
Well, not at the time, but now I know I did, looking
Yeah.
back, because when my mom and we were living in this old Victorian house, and I remember her getting the mail. And back then, well, sometimes you still get catalogs in the mail,
Yeah.
but back then, Sounds True publishing
Uh-huh.
catalog.
Uh-huh.
And she would get that, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, the Sounds True catalog's here. Oh my gosh, I want to see the new books. And she and I would look, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like Wayne Dyer has a new book out. And, she gave me Marianne Williamson, A Return to Love, when I was 17. I read that book.
Yeah.
So I just would get so excited, like they were like celebrities, like they were
Hmm.
musicians or something, but they were
Hmm.
authors.
Yeah.
And I just got a little butterfly in my stomach, but never thought that would be me, because I just didn't consider myself, not in a million years. I was a very average student. I wasn't like, I always had to work hard to
Yeah,
get
you didn't
good.
fit into that traditional system.
I never imagined it. And so it was really when, just kind of spirit led in my journey, that it's all started and kind of handed to me. I was very lucky. And that's when, maybe you call it luck, but being spirit guided is I started, my first one was self-published. And I must have told like three people. Honestly, I barely even told anyone I wrote a book. And the
Wow.
only time I mentioned it was I got hired to do a speaking event, and I said, I have a book I can. And so thank God that speaking event came along, because they bought all the books. I had so many boxes of books, and I was like, thank you God, to get them out of my closet, because I don't know how I'm going to sell all these books. And so that was wonderful. But after that, someone approached me and they said, would you write a book for us?
Oh.
So I must have done something right and said something that they liked. And so I was actually asked to write for a traditional publisher. And
You
that's,
were open and you were willing, is what I'm hearing, is you were
I didn't
open to
expect it.
hearing.
I mean, there was no expectation. I was just trying to sell these 900 box books in these boxes that were cluttering. My husband was like, what are you going to, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know why I bought so many books. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of what happens to first-time authors is they get really excited, they buy a ton of books, and then they're like, what do we do with these books? And how do I distribute them?
Start giving them away. You're like,
Yeah.
here, take it.
Yeah. So incredible that you've downloaded so much information. Do you think that you'll keep going? Do you have a personal dream, or is it all just sort of a call, an answering to the call that you're hearing, or is it a co-creation? Like, I have this dream, I get so much out of it, and also I'm being called to it.
I'm definitely going to keep going. I've got a couple emotional detox stuff that I'll be pumping out, in me. And I really love the Just Us Spirit stuff as well. I can't imagine those two. So, in terms of, I feel like I'm in the dream. I don't feel,
Oh, that's lovely.
yeah, I don't feel like I'm I've really done quite well not getting too much like that. It's worked in my favor. I'm not saying it's the right way, but just taking it day by day and trusting and letting yourself be guided and doing the work along the way. And it's not going to be perfect. You might make some mistakes, and you just kind of, I think, just enjoy it.
Mm. You have to enjoy the journey and the process, otherwise, what's the point? Clearly, you're enjoying it
Yeah.
because you wouldn't keep doing it.
No, and don't, and you get caught up, it's not a competition, and it's changed a lot since, I published first in 2012. So it's very different. Everyone's offering everything but the kitchen sink to buy their books. And I'm like, really? Like, wasn't writing it enough? Like, I have to give away more?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like, can't you just buy it because it's a good book?
Right.
Do I have to? But it's
You
marketing,
do have to bleed and sell my soul and stand on the street corner and pray. Yeah.
Thank goodness I didn't have to do that. But I also, I have a good publisher and things like that, and a good relationships with people. But it's changed a lot. I mean, I am dabbling in some of that stuff because it's just changed.
So, do you feel like you're most in flow when you're serving others, when you're one to one, when you're in groups, when you're writing? What is the thing that puts you most in flow, or is it all of it?
Probably all of it. I mean, I also teach yoga, and that's really fun, and I blend it with a little bit of other things. I write every day, and if I don't
How long do
write,
you write for? Do you write for like 2 hours?
lately it hasn't been that long because what I'm writing is shorter. Like, it's more I'm working on a deck right now. So those are short little things that, I mean, I could probably finish it in 2 weeks. It's that kind of short, but I'm making sure it's quality. So I'm going to take my time with it, because
Hmm.
that way I get the channels. Like, I could go from my brain and write it and get it done,
Hmm.
but I really let that inspiration come and then make sure I get it down on paper, like something that would really move somebody. But how long do I write? Well, when I'm writing a book, it's a couple hours a day.
Okay.
Um, and I'm talking like 6 days a week, when
Hmm.
I'm actively in it.
Hmm.
But right now I don't know, I try to at least give about maybe 40 minutes, things like that.
And I'm imagining sometimes you show up for those 2 hour slots and it's not coming through. And then do you just walk away?
Well, something always comes through. It just, you may go back to it the next day and be like, what the hell was that?
Okay.
So it's always coming through, but that's part of the deal. You're not going to always, I mean, just as spirit, I probably rewrote chapters for that one the most. And that's my 11th one.
Okay.
You would think the opposite, that I would be quicker. But no, I wrote that whole thing, and then I had it professionally edited,
Hmm.
and then I had an inspiration come, and I called my editor and I said, I think I just something clicked, and I think I have to rewrite it.
Wow. And they were
And
like,
and I
okay.
said, what do you think? She goes, I hate to say this, but I think you should too.
Oh,
And so it just was like a click, and you can't force a click, something where it's just a little different. And so I rewrote it even after
wow.
I paid to have it edited. I mean,
That's incredible to hear that. That's your commitment to the truth,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, I couldn't put that out there after, and you just have to let go and say, okay, you didn't have it. You can't force what you don't have. And so, yeah, I mean, there's many things that I rewrite and finally get to a point where I'm like, okay, it's good. I can let this go now.
I mean, the willingness, I just think that takes a lot of courage. The willingness to go, I invested in this, I got to this point, I've come this far, I've written this many books, but now I've just realized I'm going to take it back and rewrite the whole thing. That takes courage. That's
I've
incredible.
done that. I've done that a couple times.
Wow.
Well, one was the publisher. One, when I wrote Energy in Action, that was they really hooked into a first couple paragraphs. They loved something that I said, and they said you should really make it.
Expand it. Yeah.
And this is different. And I was like, but if I change that, I've got to change the rest of it because now it's not going to flow. Like
Yeah.
I can't. And I think
Yep.
in their mind, they were thinking, no, just change a few things.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I'm like, no, it's going to be. So I rewrote it. I mean,
Wow.
and yeah. So I guess if you just let go of time, the urgency, the rushing, because that's all reactions, right? Reactivity will
Mm.
always be in a hurry. Just know that, everybody. If you know you're in reaction, if you're in a hurry, like hurry up feeling, or if you're
Right.
being impulsive,
Yep.
um, or if you're attached to outcome,
Ego mind. Yeah.
ego mind,
Versus the
it's,
soul, which is slow,
yeah, yeah.
knowing. Because I heard your Instagram about it,
Oh, yeah.
about this topic. Yeah, it was great. I hearted it.
I
Yeah.
can't remember what I said, but
You said that. You said that.
did I? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the difference between the ego and the soul. Yeah.
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 Well, when you're channeling things you don't remember later.
True.
Because
True.
it's like I was just in the moment. I was just saying what was coming through.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I don't. I actually don't remember. Thank God I write them down. I'm sure you do that too.
You know what I love? Like if I have an Akashic record reading client and I don't remember half of what I said after the session, and then they'll come back and we'll do another session. And as soon as we enter the Akashic, all of a sudden I see every detail of the last session is right there. It's all in pictures. Yeah.
Interesting.
But I don't remember it when I close the records. I'm like, I don't know half of what we said.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah.
I love your work. I think it's so important. I think this is really where people who are committed to evolution, people who are committed to I don't want to just say being better because that's reductive, but like I call it in Buddhism, we call it human revolution.
Mm,
People who are committed to their human revolution, I think this is the really important work.
yeah.
If we could all do this kind of a cleanse, this kind of a regular system, full system addressing emotional responses practice, we'd all be better for it, so much better for it. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely. Stop running from what we feel and start really honoring what we feel.
It's really important work.
Yeah.
Because, and I love the idea and the practice of repair. And this is what, my kids are so good at because we've modeled it because we're not always going to do it perfectly. We're not always going to have the perfect response.
That's
And
right.
so that repair, teaching adults don't know how to repair.
No, nobody does. That's wonderful. I like that. I like that word. That's the
You
word of
can
the
use that
day.
in your next book.
I like that word. It's funny. I was just playing in yoga this morning, John Mayer, his song Repair. Have you heard that song? Uh,
No.
Oh yeah, it's I'm in repair. That's the main. Oh yeah,
I'm gonna have
you
to
gotta
use
get
that in my next breathwork
you're
class.
get
That's
that is your
that song.
song.
That's my
That is
song.
your yeah, that's your song.
Okay. You gave me that song, I gave you the repair. We're golden. We are good. I love it. Okay, guys, so where should they find you? Where should they get your books?
Sure, Sheriannaboyle.com. You can head over there, Amazon, wherever books are sold. Just Ask Spirit, there is a free gift there. So you get something for buying the book.
All
It's
right, people.
justaskspiritbook.com. You can go there and you can get a free gift, which is a beautiful gift, actually. And it has a lot of quotes from the book. So you can
It's your
print them
firstborn
out.
child. No, I'm kidding.
I'm sorry.
I was just
It's,
running with the joke that it's your firstborn child is the gift. Yeah, so you get
yes,
quotes.
exactly.
You get quotes.
You get beautiful quotes, which are beautiful. The new cover of Just a Spirit is so beautiful that I actually
It
was
is
trying to
beautiful.
I was trying to figure out how to like paint a room in my house the same color. That's how much I love it.
Ooh,
Yeah, like it's just so beautiful. So anyway, you get a meditation from me and some
nice.
journal prompts. So anyway, just a
Nice.
spiritbook.com and then Emotional Detox book series. Start with the white one. Everyone always says, where do I begin? I would do the white one. Then you can go into the next emotional detoxes after that, or energy in action if you're interested in the light.
Yeah, and some of them are on Audible. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
they all are on Audible. It's
Because
not
I'm an Audible girl. I love to listen
well, energy in
to a
action.
book.
I narrated. That was the only one that I've narrated. I'm going to be narrating Just As Spirit too. They
Nice.
just sort of. I just graduated to that level. Took a
Nice.
while, but
Yeah, I like to be able to listen when I'm driving or I'm doing the laundry or I'm washing the dishes. Yeah.
yeah, they're all on Audible for sure.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, thank you
Hey,
so much. This was so
thank you.
lovely.
Thank you. Likewise.
Yeah, I appreciate you. And thank you guys for listening. And please let us know your thoughts, your responses, what you're curious about. Reach out to us. Keep expanding your capacity to feel good, one breath at a time. And feeling good doesn't just mean feeling good, it means processing all of the emotions like Sherianna talks about. Love you guys. Thanks for listening in. And thank you, Sherianna.
Thank you.